Welcome, everyone, to Re-Educating Dad, the Daddy-Daughter podcast, which my daughter and I started back when COVID hit, and we were all confined to our homes. You remember that?
I
I
like to
am. Go
forget.
on. Go on.
I like to try and forget.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know. It wasn't altogether horrible. I am Big Tone, and my daughter is Little Tone. And we, as I say, started this when we were all confined to our homes, and we covered all kinds of topics. And the idea behind this podcast was that, well, the original idea was that Little Tone, who you'll hear from in a moment, um, was going to re-educate me, bring me into the modern world. And I think it turned into a two-way street. So
Stop saying that.
I consider myself the re-educating dad, and she considers herself the educator who is re-educating me. But I think we, over time, and we discussed all kinds of topics, and you can go back over the episodes and take a look at take a listen to those. And I think that we came together in many respects. I think we were at opposite ends of the political spectrum, but I think we ended up getting closer. I'm not going to say we totally, um, what's the word, converged, but we did certainly come closer together. But anyway, I'll let Littletone say hi and also to give you her take, which is no doubt a little bit different to mine.
Hello, everyone. This is my cat Billy sat on my lap. Um, yes, I wouldn't agree with that. I'm still waiting to be educated by you to learn. I've learned how your brain ticks better, I'd say, but I don't think I don't think you've dragged me to the center of my politics.
Okay, we could unpack that. But anyway, the question that we have agreed to talk about today, we've actually, I should say, first of all, that we did it sort of our podcast sort of came to a natural close, and then we both started our own podcasts. Little Tone will tell you perhaps a little bit about her podcast, which is about witchcraft. We did an episode about that recently. So now what we do is we occasionally, because a lot of people want to hear actually from Little Tone and not from me, which I totally understand. But we get a lot of sort of demand for people to well, requests, I should say, not demands, for people from listeners who would like to hear more from Little Tone, not from me. Uh, so we do occasionally get back together as we are doing now. And the question that we are going to consider right now, as we come up to the general election, is simply this: who will you vote for and why? So, Little Tone, who will you vote for and why?
I don't think that is a simple question. I honestly don't know. I don't know that I have a choice. In my local area, the um
Which is what? Your local area?
Hastings, the options are Conservative or Labour, and no one else stands a chance in my area. Like the other parties, that there's just no hope for them based
Well,
on the stats.
I think we're both in the same position. My area is West Worcestershire in the West Midlands. Uh, and I think that it has to be a choice between Labour and Tory, really. But here is a very Tory area, and it wouldn't matter what I did with my vote; it would be a Tory win, I feel sure. But I,
Really? So even after everything that's happened recently, people still are voting Conservative in your area? Are they
I,
still vote? It's
I
still a
won't be. I won't be, and I'll.
no, but I mean, is that the general consensus? Are the stats showing that that will still
Hmm.
be a Tory hold?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you look at the site, there's a site about tactical voting.
Yeah,
And
I know.
if you go on that site, I'll say this, I know you know, but I'll say this for the benefit of those who perhaps do not. There's a tactical voting site. Just put tactical voting into Google and it'll come up. And that will, and if you can put in your postcode and it will uh, tell you how to vote in a tactical way to prevent the Tories winning, and or I mean they're not going to win anyway, but or to reduce whatever the number of seats they get, which will make them obviously the less seats they get, the less powerful they are in Parliament. If I put my postcode in, it essentially says we don't know yet. Well, I don't think there will ever be a page generated for my area that's going to make any recommendation because it's so overwhelmingly Tory. I don't think that anything will change that.
What's the first half of your postcode?
WR10.
Because I'm on stopthetories.vote, which is a
Yeah.
yeah
See what that says then.
WR10.
WR10. I'll give you the whole thing. WR10 3HU.
Yeah, West Worcester.
Yeah, West
Yeah,
Worcester.
yours says coming soon. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
know they say coming soon, but the reason they're saying that is because there's no hope of
no,
anything.
that's not true. That's not true because it said the same for me for the last one because I remember on one night that I couldn't sleep when it was for the local election. I did
Right,
all of my sisters and yours and mum's and me, you and Mindy. It was too close, and
right.
then they told us like a few days before. And I think like
What do you
Surrey,
mean by too close?
well, as in like the statistics for people going out and what's the word?
Polls?
No, canvassing is the word I'm looking
Oh,
for.
canvassing. Okay, yep,
Going
yep.
out and canvassing, and they ask you who you're voting for, and they write it down. That it's too close for them to know at this stage how people are going to vote. Maybe they don't know. But for instance, in Surrey, it was Liberal Democrats, and I think that they won for in the
Yeah, but,
local.
yeah, I accept that, but that's not going to happen here.
Well, don't be so negative. It might do, but I mean, I think a bigger problem is that I don't really like the Labour government either.
No.
I
But
really don't like Keir Starmer at all. And I don't think they have a strong manifesto. I think that they are not left leaning anymore. I think they're a central party. Um, and on for both of them, their their manifestos around Palestine and around climate change are awful,
yep,
which are two things that I care a lot about right now. And
I hear
you
you.
did you see it, and did you see the spraying of Stonehenge
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
for yesterday by the is it Stop Oil or something like
Yeah,
that?
just stop oil. Just stop oil. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they use chalk paint so it can be washed off, but obviously they targeted a community that I'm part of
Yeah,
because a lot
bloody
of
hooligans. I mean, absolute hooligans.
well, I don't think they're hooligans. I
I
think the thing
do.
that what can I finish
And they're
speaking?
also hypocritical. I mean,
Can I
how?
finish speaking? Did I not bring this to the table? Wow,
Yes,
you need to
okay.
learn some manners.
I will defer. Go ahead.
They actually, one of the members who's 72 put up a very eloquent speech on Instagram the day that it happened, saying that they had deliberately chosen a paint that would not ruin, that would easily be washed off. They knew that Stonehenge was important, but they needed the media attention because they are being ignored. And the fossil fuel industry is destroying the planet, which is true. And the thing is that although they targeted at the pagan community, is a community full of activists. So in a way, I can empathize with that decision. However, it was the day before summer solstice, which is pretty painful for those that had made the pilgrimage to go there and celebrate
Yeah,
that event.
they don't give any consideration for anybody else. That's the problem. And also they're
Well,
hypocrites.
they're thinking about
How
the
many
planet,
of
they're
them,
thinking
how
about
many,
nature.
can I speak now?
No,
Why not?
you're
This is
being
a
ludicrous.
conversation. This is a conversation, isn't it?
It is, but you're being ludicrous. You're saying they don't think about anyone else. They're literally doing it
They
because they're
don't.
thinking about everyone. That's the
Well, they
point.
don't think about people who, I mean, talking about their stopping the traffic and all that sort of, they don't care about people who need to get to hospital. They say it's a price that has to be paid, essentially. If people die, have heart attacks, don't get treated, have strokes,
People are
whatever.
dying because of climate change. That's the point.
Come on, I mean, this is like, well, you're upset, and your consideration of the solstice is very much below someone who's had a stroke, having a stroke or having a heart attack, they are
I'm
not
not
allowing them
upset.
through.
I'm not
but
upset.
but the point is, well, you seem to
And
be
also I don't think you
unhappy
can say
about it.
one thing is below another. I think that that's not right. I don't think that we look at things in a
But they're
linear.
hypocrites. They drive, often drive SUVs, diesel guzzling vehicles. So how many of them drive electric vehicles? Very few of them. I'm sure there are
Okay,
good economic reasons for that, but they don't.
you want to talk about electric vehicles. How good for the environment are lithium batteries, do you think? And how
I,
many
I
children,
I'm pretty over on top of that, but we
how
can't.
many children mine lithium?
Lithium is included in fossil burning vehicles as well.
It
So
is.
of
It is,
course
but
it.
it's not a clean industry, Dad.
I
Electric
don't
cars.
say it is. I didn't say it is, and I don't support it. And there's lots of technological. Let's not get into that because we could go on to that for a long time. If anybody wants to learn about that, they can go onto the fully charged website and learn about that and what the real facts are about that. But let's not
All
go
the
into
cherry
that now.
picked
But
facts that are made by certain people.
how many of these Just Stop Oil protesters who cause all this disruption and vandalism, how many of them are vegans? Because the biggest thing that you can do, as you well know, as you are a vegan, to protect the planet is to change your diet and cut animal products out of it so that we drastically reduce and hopefully
I think that
eventually
that is an
eliminate
absolutely tiny part of it.
animal agriculture.
No, I don't think that it is. I'm sorry, but I'm not putting myself on a pedestal as a vegan to say that that is the only way and is the most important way that people
Well, it is.
can. No, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I
Well, you may
don't.
not agree with it. Fact check it. I would invite
No,
anybody
no.
listening to
So
our
that's not how
debate.
conversations work, Dad. They don't go with fact check it, fact check it. This is a conversation, and I don't agree with it. I don't think that veganism is the only is the best and only way. I think that people need the best way people can do anything is to look inward at their consumerist needs and capitalism and actually put their money where their mouth is and do something with every considered way in which they spend their money. They should think about the planet and they should think about other people. That's what
I don't disagree with that, but
I don't think I don't think
I can assure
you're
you, and
saying
people can
vegan.
fact check me on this, going vegan, changing your diet is the biggest thing that we can all do in order to make an impact. So let's move on from that, okay?
No, because you're just dropping a bomb and you're saying this is fact and we're moving on now. I'm
No,
not.
I'm saying people can fact check it for themselves. That's what
No,
I'm
because you're
saying.
saying you're saying this is a fact and now we're moving on, and
No,
that's
I'm
not
not. I'm saying this is my understanding of the factual position, but people can do their own independent research and come to their own conclusion on that. That's
everyone
fine.
should. You
I
shouldn't
would
even
just encourage people
shouldn't even
to,
listen to me and my dad. You should do your own research and you should not go and look at one site. You should look at many sites because
well, I was just
lots of
about to
people
say,
pay,
you
lots
should,
of people pay for this research and they cherry pick it, even
yes,
vegans.
yes, I was just about to say that you should take heed of your source because you need to go to independent scientific sites, respected sources, and that come to your own conclusion. But let's not get absolutely bogged down into this. I'd just like to say what my position is. So I have been traditionally all my life a conservative, a Tory supporter because have always believed in small government. I've always believed in growth, the need to create wealth. I'm always been a small business owner, and I have always felt that the Conservative Party is the best, has been the best for promoting small businesses. Now, I was thoroughly, as you know, Little Tone, I was thoroughly disgusted by what the Tory party has done um, over the past, how long have they been in? 14 years or something? I can't remember now. But I've been disgusted at the way they've behaved. And in particular, I've been disgusted by the way that they essentially were corrupt over COVID and, helped their friends and uh, their Tory friends and didn't put the interests of people first. They squandered a lot of money, a lot of taxpayers' money, our money, on rubbish, personal protection tools that were they hadn't properly sourced and properly researched. and they gave out those contracts in a very irresponsible and I think in some cases corrupt way. And recently, since the post office scandal has come to light, I've been thoroughly disgusted with that. What was done to those poor sub postmasters, and the government sat on their hands and did nothing. And even when it's all been brought to light by the Channel 4 expose on it, even since then they haven't done a proper job of compensating the people properly, who were, some of them went to prison, many of them went to prison, some of them committed suicide. Obviously, they can't compensate the people who committed suicide, but they can compensate their families. And they haven't gone after in any effective way yet, and I doubt they ever will, the people within the post office who were responsible for that outrage, and the people at Fujitsu. I don't think that they have done anything. Well, I know we've got this inquiry going on that's going on at a glacial pace, and just annoying just watching this thing be dragged out. But I doubt that it will lead to anything in terms of real accountability for the likes of Paula Venables and others. So I wrote to my MP and I said, there's no way I'm ever voting Conservative again. And I got some load of bullshit back from her. So there's that. The other thing that I'm very concerned about, though, it was, well, like you, who do you vote for? Because really, we are a two-party system. I mean, there isn't any doubt about that. So it's either Conservative or it's Labour. I quite like some of the things the Labour side are saying, but I also have the same reservations I think that you have. In some ways, I would like to vote for Green, but you can't vote on a single issue, that you've got to consider the whole package, I think.
Yeah.
So I have been when I'm looking forward to your comment on this, so I'm just going to wrap my part of it up. But my ears have pricked up. Let's put it this way. I haven't made a decision by any means on this, but my ears have pricked up by Reform UK's stance. I certainly don't agree with everything that they say, but I think that you have to come down ultimately to going with the least worst option. If we don't make a decision, we don't exercise our right to vote. But my friend, who Barrett, was actually alarmed when I said this, and said that I should talk to my daughter, meaning you, because he very much has listened. Well, he's listened to you over the past, and he likes the things that you say, as many people do. And he said that essentially, he said, he put it in a nicer way, but he said that I ought to have my head examined, and that you would knock some common sense into me. So I'm waiting for that now.
But what was his point?
His point, well, I think his main point is that he's totally disgusted by Nigel Farage's campaigning for Brexit, which is something he never agreed with.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. He's ruined.
But what I was saying to him was, just before you comment on that, what I was saying to him, so that you're aware of what it was all about. What I was saying to him was, look, I just would like your views. I haven't made a decision. I would just like your views on their manifesto, which they're calling Our Contract with You, the People. Because I've been through those and I largely agree with what they're saying. And also I like they're saying, Nigel Farage is saying, look, we're not going to win, which is a nice thing to hear, because it's pretending that the Green Party or the Liberal Democrats are going to win is just like, cloud cuckoo land. And we're not going to win, but the Conservative Party is finished, effectively, is what he's saying, which I think I agree with. And there needs to be someone in Parliament who is going to stand up to the Labour side. But after that, there are problems. I agree with that. But on the whole of it, I find that whole approach quite refreshing. Go ahead.
I couldn't possibly vote for a party that has Nigel Farage's face on the front cover of it.
Right. Tell me more.
Well, he's a massive racist.
Well,
And
I've
that
heard
just
that before. Can you provide any evidence of that?
I don't need to. Just go on the internet and look at the things that he said. He's used xenophobic language. He's used racist language.
I've
He's
heard that before. Another friend of mine called Nigel said very similar things to me, and as a result of that, I think I sent him some material, and I also said to him, "Well, just produce one of these things." And I would say the same thing to you. Just produce something that from a, as we said before, from a reliable source that actually backs up that assertion.
I'm just having
Obviously,
a look now.
obviously you're looking, but
Right.
just to, while you're looking for that, I think the end of that was that he couldn't produce anything. I certainly was able to, I think, demonstrate that he has never said anything that that supports the position that he's a racist. He's certainly anti mass immigration. He comes down quite hard on immigration and says that only essential immigration should go forward. But we're in a situation where everything is broken. You know that the National Health Service is in tatters, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is in tatters, but it's in tatters because of conservative rule, defunding constantly over the last decade.
But that's
Um,
not true. They're spending more than any other previous government on it.
that is BS. That is absolute BS. You know what the stats when they're like, we're going to open this many hospitals. Do you know how many hospitals opened?
Yeah, I'm aware of that sort of criticism, but they are
They
spending more.
defunded, they defunded
That can be
so
fact
many
checked
essential. No,
easily.
stop saying fact checking to me. It's pissing me off.
Well,
Because to
it's
think that
pissing
I
you
wouldn't
off
fact
because you
check is
you do
ridiculous.
actually have to produce facts, and that is my understanding is that they are spending far more than any previous government.
No.
Anyway, again, you can fact check that. Anybody can fact check that. Uh, but the the fact that they're spending more and more money is not a defense to them. It's for them. Because they are spending it unwisely and it's being squandered. People in the NHS will say that. I mean, they overspend on things like simple things. They spend much more money than any ordinary consumer would spend because nobody's properly managing it. So the court system, the justice system, both criminal and civil, is in tatters. But although they spend more and more money on it, it's not spent wisely, and it's not producing the outcomes that we need. There's the infrastructure, the water system is, we've been without water overnight and this morning here, which happens more and more regularly because the water company, while the bosses take huge pay packets, they don't proactively go after leaks. They also, of course, contaminate water by dumping sewage into lovely lakes and rivers. And that nothing seems to get done about any of that. So there needs to be something, don't you think? Can't we agree on this at least, that there has to be a complete change in direction? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, but that isn't on offer. There literally isn't on offer.
Well, I'm not asking you whether it's on offer. I'm asking you whether there needs to be.
Yeah, but I mean, at the moment, you either vote the party that votes Conservative out, which is probably Labour, or you
Yeah.
riot. Like, those are the only two options you have, and neither you or I are strong enough to riot.
Okay. Well, I think you're right. I think it is a binary choice, and I think I will probably come down on a vote for Labour because I do think that I do think the Reform Party has problems. They're not the same problems as you perceive, but there are serious problems. In fact, I wrote to the local candidate here and I said, look, I've got two major issues that I'd like comments on. One, Nigel Farage's support for Trump. There's no way I could back somebody who supports Trump. Trump is
He also was part of the UKIP party that had massive controversy that to do with it with their racism. he definitely has some very, very dodgy opinions on immigration. And I mean, I think that those immigration opinions are based in racism. Like he said things like he feels uncomfortable hearing different languages on the tube in London. Now, what
Well,
does that say?
again, but you'd need to produce that to me,
Well,
because
I am producing it to you.
well, I
If
mean, it
someone
would have
said
to
that,
be from a reliable source. Go ahead. We haven't got long, so let's not waste time on going off into
well,
tangents here.
he said in 2013, Farage said he supported Muslim immigrants who integrate into society, but not those who are coming here to take us over.
Well, I don't think that I mean, I don't fine if that comes from a reliable source, but I don't think that's a racist position.
Don't you?
No.
Like, you have to think about the nuance under why someone would think that anyone was coming from another culture to take us over.
Well, I mean, again, I would need to look into that, but
Like
hard.
I said about, he
Send me the
said that
link. Send me the
in
link, please.
2014, I
Please.
will. He said he
Yeah.
felt uncomfortable hearing foreign languages on the tube. Why would that make you feel uncomfortable? Don't you go on holiday anywhere where,
I need to see the context of all
okay,
that.
you can look at the context afterwards,
Yeah.
but what would your feelings about those things be?
About what things? Ask me a direct question.
Saying that he feels uncomfortable hearing different languages on an English
I
tube.
would need to see the context of that and where you're getting that from.
Mm.
I would need
You
to see
sound
that.
like a fucking politician yourself.
No, well, I mean, I need need to be able to assess it. There's a lot of BS on the internet, and you have to be very careful about it because
You
what they
also
just do.
use the word chinky to describe a Chinese person.
Again, I would need proof of that. I am very skeptical of that. Very skeptical. He's a very careful man, I think, in
He's
what he
not
says. He does
careful.
speak
That's the
his mind. He
problem.
does speak his mind, but I think on the whole, he's a careful and a very effective orator. But let's
I do
not
not
again.
agree with you. I think he's a
I know
racist
you don't
piece of.
agree. That's fine. Absolutely, you're entitled not to agree. But
And we have enough racism in government as it is.
I'm not
What we
accepting
need is
your
someone
position
that's
that he's racist.
progressive and radicalist and someone who's going to make change. And unfortunately, most people vote for old white men who literally have no
That's right.
experience.
Probably right. Yeah, probably right.
And the problem is that with Sunak, like he's lived the most privileged life ever. So we didn't
I
even
don't disagree with that. I would agree with you. I think we need real people.
we
I think
do
we
need,
need real people as politicians.
but we don't allow real people to serve government. That's the problem. And the ones
Well,
that do get outed as troublemakers.
I think that what a fundamental problem is our first past the post system, which I think is anti-democratic. I think we would be better off with proportional representation, whereby we have where we end up with coalitions between the various camps, if you like, uh, so that there's more of a consensus government, um, where people compromise, discuss things. All we see at the moment is this Punch and Judy show between the Conservatives and the Tories, not trying to knock bits off each other.
That's it.
The media tries very hard. I noticed recently they're saying, no, don't keep telling me about what the other party's doing. We want to hear about your policies. I like the way that they do that now. They've got to do more of that.
They
And
have
not
a lot to answer for because they definitely were part of that ugly campaign between Boris and Corbyn.
who's
You know,
they? Who's the they in this?
media.
Yeah.
They should be saying that. They should be trying to report the facts and they shouldn't be putting their bias all over everything. That's part of the problem is the public don't know where to turn for unbiased, information.
I don't agree with that.
Hey,
from what
well,
I see, there are certainly partisan parts of the media, unashamedly biased, like the Daily Mail and on the one side and the Guardian on the other. And I agree that we've got to look past that and make our own assessments. But I think the BBC on the whole is pretty good. When I see them interviewing people, I think they take quite well, they do take an independent line, and I think they're quite assertive with both
That's why they've been really
aggressive.
good at reporting on Palestine, isn't it? how
I
they
don't.
like.
I think they have been pretty good.
No,
I
they
think
haven't.
they've.
No, they haven't. They've been awful. They've been terrible. They've not even reported on it properly. They've
That's not. I
deliberately.
listen to BBC Radio 4 every morning, and the
I bet you do.
interviewing of
You look like a Radio 4 listener.
the interviewing. Well, I
And do
haven't
you know
found
what their
anyone. I've
biggest
actually. I've
demographic is?
tried
Older
listening.
white men.
I've tried listening to a lot of others. I find Radio 4 the most independent. If you can
You listen
suggest,
to Radio 6.
you'll probably want me to listen to somebody who a side that agrees with everything you agree. Well, that's not independent, is it?
No,
So,
I don't.
so
I don't sit in an echo chamber. I go out and I read and listen to
I
lots
don't
and
think I don't think the BBC is an echo chamber.
things.
But anyway, look, we're pretty much at the end of our time, very close to it. So, sum up your position and you know, if you do your best to answer the question that we're considering, who will you vote for and why in a couple of sentences?
Part of me would like to vote Green because of my feelings on climate change. And they've also pledged to support grassroots music venues, which is obviously really important to me. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, that's like not the biggest thing on my agenda. I'd like to support Green. I don't think they have a hope in hell. I think I will have to vote for Labour.
Yes, I think I will vote for Labour. The why in that is that I've completely lost confidence in the Tory party. I I like the way that Starmer is talking in terms of growth now and talking in terms of supporting small businesses. I like that. I agree with you that he's taken the party uh, further away from the left and more to the centre. I think the centre is good ground to occupy. So I think I probably will end up voting Labour. I have too many problems with Reform UK, although I am intrigued and I do by them, and I do think Nigel Farage has made this election less boring, and that in itself is a good is a good thing. So I think our friend, my friend Barrett, will be probably pleased with this conversation as far as what I've said in my conclusion. That I don't think I will be voting. I'm almost certain I won't be voting for Reform UK. So that's it. Very nice to be on air with you again, even though we do have a few punch ups. I think they're always good natured. And I think well, I think it, well, hopefully it will help other people. I don't know, maybe it won't. But we'd love to get your views, everybody. Do give us your feedback. It's always great to read and tell us what you think. I'm sure, as always, Little Tone will get far more votes than I will. But this has been nice and I really appreciate it. So thank you, Little Tone. And for now, it's goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.